The final number, you didn't find a level. You hit the last number the world can count. Level 9, 223, 372, 36, 854, 775, 807 isn't just a flex, it's the ceiling. The max value a signed 64-bit counter can hold. Past this point, numbers flip, logic cracks, and engines start lying to keep the lights on. If the backrooms are a machine, this is where the odometer locks and the smile never reaches its eyes. That's why nothing here feels written. This isn't lore, it's limit. A signal to anyone who can read it. You are at the edge of the simulation. Every step past this should be impossible. Every breath you take is the system pretending it can still count you. And when a place is built on counts, tiles, steps, floors, IDs, hitting the top isn't victory, it's hunger. The maze won't let you win, so it quietly invents ways to stall you, repeating geometry, labels that don't mean what they say, spaces that render as blank because rendering truth would break the game. That number is a warning, but warnings are cheap. Because someone cut a door to reach this ceiling, an official-looking access that shouldn't exist anywhere near level 1. And that door is the first lie. M.E.G, access. There's an official door where no official door should be. Level 1 is all pipes, utility stink, and hand-painted arrows. Then you find a perfectly clean M.E.G door with a badge reader that chirps like it's on payroll. Swipe an ID and the lock obeys. Not because this area is safe, because someone decided the rules would pretend it is. That's the tell. M.E.G signage is standardized, font, spacing, the little hazard glyphs that always sit 12 millimeters from the edge. This door matches the template too well for a random maintenance hatch. It's a sanctioned redaction, a neat hole cut into ugly reality. If the archivists are policing the maze, this is the place they don't want you walking unless you have the right memory to erase afterward. Ask why a watchdog builds a shortcut to the numeric ceiling and you get two answers, both bad. Either it's a quarantine, a dump site for broken counts and mislabeled floors, or it's a debug ladder for technicians who need to touch the edge and come back with their minds intact. In both versions, you're not a visitor, you're a test. You open the door expecting a room, a hallway, a story beat. You don't get a story, you get a rule. You get a rule. Stone underfoot, air that tastes like nothing, a shape the engine can loop forever without thinking. The maze stops talking and starts counting again. And once you see what's on the other side, you'll understand why the door was hidden in plain sight. Because the stairwell beyond it isn't architecture, it's law. But the law here doesn't protect you, it keeps you. This stairwell doesn't lead anywhere. It enforces something. Stone steps curl around a black center shaft, landing after landing stamped with neat numbers. No posters, no loot, no doors that open. Just a shape the engine can loop forever without thinking. It's not level design, it's a fail-safe. The simplest geometry a broken world can render on repeat without crashing. Listen to it work. Your footfalls become a metronome. The air has no smell because there's nothing to remember here. Wall apertures open onto pure white null scenes. The renderer drops in when it can't agree on what outside is. You're not exploring, you're being buffered. That's the horror. The backrooms don't need entities when structure can be the predator. The spiral keeps you moving, keeps you counting, keeps the simulation from touching real space or real story. It's a holding pattern disguised as progress. But even machines slip. On one landing, the labeling system drags the wrong memory up the stairs. A number leaks in from somewhere it shouldn't. 94. It shouldn't be here. It is. Touch that mistake, and the spiral stops pretending it's perfect. The breadcrumb is on the wall. The trap is underneath it. The wrong 94. Numbers don't lie, until they do. You're counting landings. 27, 41, 73, and then the stairwell coughs up a plate that doesn't belong here at all. 94. Wrong font, hint. No. Wrong context. 94 is a suburb, a cul-de-sac skin the backrooms wear somewhere else. Seeing it here means the archive is leaking labels across levels like a filing cabinet knocked over in the dark. That's your tell. The spiral isn't endless, it's faulty. The system pulled the wrong index card and pinned it to the wall. Touch the plate. Stand over the shaft. The building hums, almost like it's daring you to test the math. Because this level has one exit, and it isn't a door, it's a fall. Drop. The center well peels open like a seam between files, and the void stops being blank. You don't hit bottom, you transfer. The number on the wall wasn't a room label, it was a redirect. The minute you commit to the error, the stairwell admits what it's always been, a buffer that hands you back to 94. The second you notice the mistake, you'll wake in a normal room. No hazmat, no alarms, a safe little window that looks out on streets. Home, right? Look again. That outside isn't outside, it's the maze wearing a neighborhood. And the windows in this story don't show you escape. They show you nothing at all. But nothing is scarier than what comes next. White void, those windows aren't views, they're admissions of failure. Every few turns, the wall opens onto a blinding white. No horizon, no parallax, no grain. That isn't fog, it's a null scene. The renderer throwing a blank slide because it can't agree on what should be outside the spiral. Think of it like a missing texture for reality. The world puts up a curtain so the lie doesn't have to finish loading. Stand there long enough, and the fear changes flavor. It's not what's out there, it's there is no out there. The spiral is the only thing the system is willing to keep real. Everything beyond it is redacted to pure light so your brain can't catalog edges and ask the wrong questions. You know why the stairwell echoes so clean? Because the engine isn't mixing an exterior at all. No wind, no traffic bleed, not even hum. Just you, steps, and the counter ticking, forcing your senses to accept a prison shaped like an architectural drawing. And that's the real horror. Emptiness here isn't peaceful, it's policy. If the simulation can't guarantee the truth beyond the wall, it deletes the world and leaves you with a blank apology. But a white void is still kinder than what happens to the numbers when you climb too high. Past 99, the level stops pretending to count, and that's where the trap tightens. It runs out of numbers. Floors, thin floors of floor. Pumpulloop is patents, plain number people. Bemarschen singulunix amber movens pegelt mumiacal vermeld from coast of celtots pegelt propus paste. The stairwell doesn't run out of stairs. Listen to the psychology of it. Fimorite tells your brain there's meaning past this landing. There isn't. It's a stall loop. Identical risers, identical echoes, identical white apertures. The geometry repeats like a copier running out of toner, crisp at first, then faint, then ghostly. But it never breaks because breaking would mean admitting an end. Hit floor 99, and the counter gives up. The plaques stop advancing and switch to a polite lie. Emra. That isn't infinity. That's anti-progress, a soft lock disguised as a promise. The system can't count higher without risking a crash, so it replaces arithmetic with a symbol and dares you to keep walking. Why does the maze do this? Because endings leak truth. Numbers define space. Space defines story. If the counter moves past what the engine can store, the world has to choose, and choice is where secrets spill. So the level cheats. It stops counting, keeps rendering, and hopes you'll accept a sideways 8 as a destination. In 3 is not a landmark, it's a keeper. And yet notice what isn't keeping you here. It keeps you climbing, keeps the simulation stable, keeps the archive from touching anything real. Which is worse, a stairwell full of monsters or a stairwell that never needs them? Because this place is empty on purpose. No hounds, no smilers, no sanity gnawing at the edges. No entities, no sanity. Silence isn't safety here, it's policy. Level 922 E18 is Class 0, quiet on purpose. No entities, no sanity drain, no loot. That isn't mercy, it's maintenance mode. The ecosystem switches off so the system can hold you in a perfectly controlled loop. No AI spawns to desync the count. No panic effects to add noise to the buffer. You're not surviving, you're parked. Think like the machine. Monsters are variables. Variables risk rounding errors. So the spiral becomes a sterile test chamber. Same steps, same echoes, same white apertures, forever. The only thing moving is you. And even that motion is just data sliding up and down a ruler the engine trusts. And that's why it feels wrong. The backrooms usually punish you with life faces and halls, claws and vents. Here it punishes you with absence. The world deletes everything that could distract you from the one lesson it wants burned into your head. You will not break the count. But maintenance has an end condition, and it's you touching the flaw it couldn't hide. Find the mislabeled 94. Step to the shaft. Jump. Because the moment you commit to the error, the buffer flushes, and you're not falling to a basement, you're being redirected back into the story. A transit to 94, you don't die. You wake up. Carpet under your feet. Quiet house. No hazmat. No alarms. For 3 heartbeats you believe it. Then you look out the window and the glass lies. Streets loop like vinyl. Mailboxes repeat. Sky has no temperature. You didn't escape. The stairwell handed you to level 94 and told it to wear your hometown like a mask. That jump wasn't a reward. It was a redirect. The buffer flushing you back into narrative space. In the spiral, you were an error to be parked. Here, you're a character to be posed. The cul-de-sac smiles the same way every lap. Lights switch on without blooming. Shadows don't bend, they stand. Even your house breathes on a timer like it's waiting for a line of dialogue you'll never say. Watch how 94 gaslights you. The window proves you're safe. The sidewalk proves you can leave. Then the block folds and you're back where you started. A paper neighborhood shuffling its tiles so you don't notice the seams. It's not suburbia. It's set dressing. A mercy mask dropped over the backroom's teeth. That's the cruelty. Level 922 E18 deletes everything to keep you. Level 94 adds everything to convince you. One imprisons your senses, the other imprisons your hope. But here's the part that should actually scare you. None of this happens by accident. A door in level 1 knew exactly where to send you. A counter at the ceiling knew exactly when to flush you, which means someone is operating the lie. And if there's an operator, there's a log. Redaction theory. If there's a door, there's a key card. If there's a key card, there's a log. So where are the logs? That clean M.E.G door in level 1 shouldn't touch the numeric ceiling at all, unless someone needed a maintenance path they could deny later. Think like an archivist, not an explorer. Level 922 E18 works like a quarantine for overflow. When counters break and labels bleed, that stray 94, you don't delete the paradox, you park it where nothing else spawns, nothing drains, nothing notices. 3 reads make sense. Sanctioned redaction, a quiet ticket in a system nobody audits, route anomalies to buffer, return subjects to 94 on trigger, paper trail sealed. Debug ladder, engineers need to touch the edge, watch it loop, then bail before the engine tears itself. Door escape hatch for staff, not players. Auto clean. The maze itself runs a cleanup job, push bad data into the spiral, flush it to a low entropy skin, the suburbs, when a human finally trips the mislabeled plate. Either way, you're not an explorer here. You're throughput. Your climb proves the buffer still holds. Your fall proves the redirect still lands. Your home window proves the facade still fits a face. And that's the part nobody writes on the safety posters. If a watchdog can park a paradox, it can bury other things too. Paths, failures, people who figured out where the numbers stop. The backrooms don't just lose you in space. They can lose you in documentation. But an erased report is nothing compared to the last cruelty baked into this place. Because the stairwell doesn't exist to be found. It exists to feed design as threat. Predators chase. This one waits. Level 9.22 E18 isn't a place you beat. It's a process that eats intent. The spiral is a self-feeding loop. Numbers wind up to 99. Swap to M, and your brain supplies the rest. There must be something higher. That thought is the meal. Every lap converts curiosity into compliance. You keep walking because design tells you walking is progress. That's the trick. The backrooms don't need claws if structure can break you quietly. Instinct isn't a promise, it's an appetite. White voids remove alternatives. No entities removes urgency. Perfect acoustics remove time. The system strips away threats until the only moving part left is you, and then it teaches you to move in circles. Why build this? To make the world never end. Endings cause leaks. Truth spill. Counters crack. Doors stop obeying. The stairwell patches that hole with a ritual. Climb, notice the wrong 94, jump. Get reset in a friendlier skin. You become a maintenance task. The maze runs on schedule. The level doesn't exist to be discovered. It exists to keep discovering you. And that's why it's the scariest entity in the game. Not a face, not a chase. A design decision that turns players into uptime. You can keep climbing, you can keep counting. But the spiral already wrote your ending the moment you saw Finnair. Level 9223, 372, 36, 854, 775, 807 is the maze saying, I don't need monsters if I can make you walk. The M.E.G door is the smile. The spiral is the rule. The wrong 94 is the breadcrumb. The white voids are redacted sky. Emery is not a destination, it's the appetite. And the fall to 94, that's the buffer flushing you back into costume. If the backrooms are a machine, this level is the uptime script count. Stall, reset, repeat. You weren't exploring a place, you were powering a process. But that still doesn't compare to what happens when the maze stops buffering and starts running. Thanks for watching. Which would you visit this level? Drop it in the comments.